Wellness means forgiving your mind, honoring your body, and living your most authentic life while understanding that you are not of this world. This is a journey, one that I am honored to be on with you. Welcome to my channel.
Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Grow with Ariana. I have not done a wellness video in a good long while, but we're back. I put a lot of my time and focus right now in the nutrition world and the wellness world, specifically in endocrinology, because to feel my body is fascinating. It's so fascinating. And we still don't know enough. There's still being trials and testing and research, and it's hard for me to really make videos when I know that we still don't know so much. But it's kind of the case with everything. There's still a lot of stuff in life that we do not know. So this is currently what we do know. We're going to talk about the cycle phases. I've made a video on hormones before. This is going to be a deep dive specifically into the female body, into the natural cycle that we experience every 28, 35 days. This does not apply if you are on the pill or if you are on a contraceptive that interrupts your cycle in any way. And even if you're on the pill or you're on a contraceptive and you get a period, it's not a real period, nor does it count. So you do not count yourself in with having a natural cycle. That's a disruption of hormones. We'll make another video where I specifically talk about the pill and contraceptives that mess with your hormones. We'll talk about that in a different video. This video is specifically going to be the female cycle. So let's get into it. The female cycle is broken up into 4 parts. The first one is your menstrual cycle. The second one is your follicular cycle. Then you have your ovulatory cycle, and then your luteal cycle. And then it resets. Your period is kind of the reset button. It's the reset button. So I'm going to break it up and explain to you what all of them do, what all of them mean, and how you can live your best life on all of them. It's super important. Unlike men, we are not the same every single day. Our emotions, our hormones, they're literally not the same. They're literally roller coasters every single day. And the way we navigate that, it's important. The way we are optimal with our body is important. Our period is practically a 5th vital sign telling us this is how healthy you are. And once we start paying attention to it, things get way easier. And we start to understand our bodies more. Our bodies are complicated. We're women. They're complicated. They don't have to be. We can be intuitive. We can understand our body. And that can be a lifelong journey. But it's very much yours. And I'm kind of going to talk about the knowledge we have about the cycles, but however they apply to you may differentiate. And I'll kind of explain how mine do to typical studies as well. So we're going to start with menstrual. Your menstrual cycle is about 3 to 7 days. That is your period. If it's any shorter or longer, that's typically a sign of a hormonal imbalance. This is a really good time for rest, right? Our energy levels are at its lowest. Like our estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, lowest. Absolute lowest. Body temperature, lowest. That being said, we are very intuitive on our periods. And we can make a lot of drastic changes on our periods too. I know that's kind of like she's crazy, she's on her time of the month. Sometimes we can make really drastic changes because we wake up on our periods. Like both sides of our hemispheres are firing, are equal at the exact same time on our period specifically. And because of that reason, we think clearer, we focus more, so therefore we're not, maybe not brought down by a bunch of stress or distracted. We're super focused. And if we're really intuitive, sometimes we're like, oh yeah, that doesn't serve me anymore. And we're just done. We're just done with it. Your period may be the time where you feel the most decisions to make decisions. The time of decisions to make decisions, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, it is because very much that both of your brain hemispheres are online. They're working at the exact same time. You're thinking, you're reevaluating, you're resetting, you're thinking about your last month, your last year, your current, you're thinking. But unlike your luteal phase, it's very stable. It's very stable thinking. You're very realistic. You're very knowing. You're very in tune. Which is why this is the most intuitive time. So if this is a time where you need to think about stuff, we all do. If you want to make really big changes or really big decisions, I would think about this stuff the most in my menstrual phase. I literally do write it down in my phone if I'm overthinking in my luteal phase so that I can have it for my menstrual phase. I will think about that later, and we'll get into luteal phase anxiety a little bit later. So this is kind of the intuitive time. This is the time to recharge as well. During your period, and we're not going to talk about it in this video, but your blood pretty much is your fifth vital sign. It kind of tells you where you're at with hormone levels, imbalances, how you're doing. So it's really good to take note of that because like that is a reflection of last month. How you did last month. So it's kind of what were your symptoms as well. PMS symptoms, that's kind of a reflection, like your body is trying to get your attention. We're not going to talk about PMS symptoms in this one either, just normal cycles. Another video, we'll talk about all of the nuances of everything. But 3 to 7 days, we are resting, recharging, and we are intuitively thinking. So self-care is really important during this time. Self-care is really important all the time. But while we're at our lowest, right? And because we're at our lowest, our hormones, we're typically supposed to eat a high protein, high fats type of diet to kind of replenish slowly. Warm foods because our body temperature is low. And I have a cheat sheet card. I'm going to lift off all the foods that are the most beneficial during this time of the month. There are a lot of them. So I'm just going to read them off. I'll put them on the screen. Buckwheat, wild rice, beets, burdock, kale, kelp, kombucha, mushrooms, blackberry, blueberry, grapes, watermelon, kidney beans, flax seeds, pork, seafood, pumpkin seeds, tea. All really great things. Let's put that back. All really great things to be eating for its vitamins and minerals during this time. I very much do eat by my cycle, and not all the things on that list. Obviously, we all have our own different taste buds, but I can very much tell when my body likes something and is like, yep, that's exactly what we needed, versus when it was like, no, no, thank you. Menstrual cycle, I'm very, very in tune, and I very much know. Luteal cycle, I get more of a hard boot, but my body doesn't like it. We'll get into that. This is a really good time training wise to go easy, right? If we go hard during our period, this isn't for everyone, but some of them, um, it it raises your cortisol, right? It feels like you're stressed, like it doesn't understand why you're working so hard when it's at its lowest hormonally, right? And that can also be the time where fat is stored more. So if you're somebody who's trying to tone up or lose weight, this might not be the phase to go the hardest. Like wait for your hormones to come back. Don't put your body in fight or flight, right? Sorry. So this is more of a time to, one, prioritize sleep. That should be the big one in everyone. But the biggest studies during your menstrual phase. So prioritize sleep, gentle movement, walking, yoga. I really love body massages. I really love to just like during my menstrual phase. Feels great. It feels great. Breath work, yin yoga specifically is great for opening up. I love restorative as well. Even just like slow, few minutes Pilates, like nothing over 30. And yeah, this is a really good time to evaluate and process and reassess what's happened in the last month, where you're going this month. This can be a really great time to set intentions and kind of make a plan, because the next phase, you'll be ready to go. So, self care, reading a book, quality time with yourself, relaxing. This is the epitome. This is the peak of where we want to be handling ourselves during our menstrual phase. I personally, this is not my winter. Seasonally, this is not my winter. My PMS is not in this phase at all. I feel great. I come out the gate running on my menstrual phase. I do feel very good on my menstrual phase. I don't every phase. So this is a phase specifically that would be more of a spring for me. Everybody's bodies are kind of different, and obviously there's a ton of things that can change how we feel in each cycle. So just take note of, like, do you feel wintry? Do you feel like you're indoors, you're reflective, you're taking care of yourself? Or do you feel like you're kind of getting ready to go out? You're kind of getting ready to do new stuff, and you're exploring and getting creative, because that's how I feel on my menstrual phase. I'm very much not in a place of winter. That's very much a spring for me. So just as we go, maybe think in your head how you feel in each phase, right? So, menstrual phase done. Move other cue card. Okay. Follicular phase. This phase, your hormones, if they're here, right? It's kind of going like this. In your follicular phase, it's the day right after your period. It's about 7 to 10 days. And this is time to prepare. Like, you are preparing to get stuff done. You are energized, slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Your creativity is coming online very much. And this may be a fun time to do stuff. Your hormones begin to rise, as well as your concentration. Your concentration's super good at this time. During this time, because you've had the reset, right? Your menstrual phase reset everything. This is a good time to restore good bacteria and phytoestrogens for a healthy, happy microbiome in your stomach, which is super important for anxiety and depression, which, if you feel really hard in your PMS or in your luteal phase, that's because everything you put in your body during your follicular phase, during your menstrual phase, it leads up. It's like a direct reflection. So this is a really good time for beneficial foods. So that's kimchi, that's sauerkraut, string beans, zucchini, carrots, chicken, seeds. If you seed cycle, this kind of plays into it. Yogurt, barley, oat, rye, wheat, broccoli, peas, avocado, grapefruit, lemon, limes, oranges, plums, green lentils, and some more. Hold on. Literally cheating. Pomegranates, cashews, flax seeds, eggs, olives, pickles, nut butters. All the good stuff. All the good stuff. This is not a time to overstress your body either, because again, your hormones, they're like slowly rising. So we usually want to keep our workouts about 30 minutes or less. However, because we have rising levels, this is a really good time to get cardio done without stressing our body out. So we can do a lot of cardio things like HIIT, hiking, biking, running, dancing. Now that I'm trying to think of cardio, I'm like, I don't do a lot of cardio. I said HIIT. Yeah. Yeah. Cardio based, get your heart rate up and a good 30 minutes or less, because you don't want to stimulate stress. But good. Get your heart rate up, get your endorphins flowing. This is a really good time to do new projects, brainstorming, problem solving. Making plans. Making the plans. If you thought about making plans in menstrual phase, you're doing them in follicular phase. You are making the steps to do them. Like I said, this is more my summer, so I'm like right out the gate. Right out the gate. In my follicular phase. Getting it done. I'm recording this video in my follicular phase. I record a lot in my follicular phase. But this is a good time with your spouse as well. There's a lot of research on how you feel with your spouse and your relationship during your phases too. Menstrual is very much an internal, alone time to think. However, if your follicular is, let's do projects together, let's go on a trip together, let's try something new together, let's be spontaneous together. It's kind of like, let's play. This is a good time to initiate something with your partner. Something small. Or think about it. Or like introduce it. Ovulation is probably going to be the time you want to do everything with your partner. And we will explain why. I just realized I didn't even get into like the science of like what was happening to your body as well. Yeah, okay. I'll do it. So menstrual phase, you're shedding an entire lining, right? You're shedding an entire lining. We will get there. Your follicular phase, it's your lining's kind of coming back gently. It is getting thicker. And we move into ovulation, which we will go into now. So ovulation, it's getting thicker, but it is getting thick enough to be able to hold an egg when the fallopian tube drops one. That is what ovulation is for. That is the time that you can get pregnant as well, by the way, is ovulation. You can't get pregnant every single day of your cycle. So ovulation, because that's when your hormones they're at their highest. You feel great. Life is great. That would be the time that you get pregnant, and your lining is thick enough to be able to pretty much, catch a sperm. Mate. This is the time for it. Literally. And your body is definitely feeling it. For sure. So into ovulation, right? This is a great time for communication. You are so social. Life is great. Communication is great. Receiving is great. This is 3 to 4 days, by the way. Ovulation isn't a week long. It's not one day. It's about 3 to 4 days. This is a great time for communicating. Like, your communication skills are up. Your immune system is at its highest. Yeah, and because your energy is high, eating lots of fiber foods, glutathione. Yep, no, I said that right. Sorry, eating a lot of energy foods that are high in glutathione is really great because this metabolizes your estrogen, which is, it's going, so you feel great. However, if you have meat problems and it stays elevated after your ovulation, it's bad news. It's bad news. And it causes so many symptoms that are awful. And I will explain the havoc that it can cause. Probably not in this video, but it can. And we want to metabolize that estrogen, right? Once it's peaked, because it's trying to get us pregnant, right? If we're not in that stage of life, we're not going to get pregnant. So once it's peaked, we want to get rid of the excess estrogen. But we want to be eating foods like that now so that we can have an easier time expelling the estrogen. So we want to eat foods that are high in glutathione. So red bell peppers, spinach, tomato, leafy greens, raspberries, strawberries, quinoa, corn, dandelion, eggplants, apricot, cantaloupe, coconut, figs, red lentils, almonds, lamb, salmon, tuna, chocolate, coffee, ketchup, turmeric, to name a few. This is a great time to be having those foods. Just to help your body be at its peak highest, even though you'd be feeling pretty great, fairly. But I think it's because you're feeling really great that you might forget to really take in the self-care needed to feed yourself well. And then that will reflect badly in your luteal phase or your PMS during your menstrual phase. That's why we need to eat very gut friendly food. Your estrogen and testosterone, they're up there. They're up there. Which is why training your heart out for these 3 to 4 days, gains. You will feel your strongest. You will feel most energized. So push in your max. Hit weight training, power yoga, boot camps. Awesome. Awesome things to do. Hitting those new reps, those new PRs, like, that's what we want. That's what we want. So there's that. There's training like that. So train your heart out. You'll still have a few days after this, by the way, to train your heart out. But this is an important time for conversation as well, because you'll feel really social. So you'll have really fun conversations. So you feel really social. You want to do a lot of stuff. Maybe do a lot of crafts. Maybe do social media. Maybe go out with friends. Go out to parties. Start relationship goals. Or like talk about your relationship goals with your partner. Do new stuff with your partner. This would be the time for it. Ovulation would be the time for it. Yeah. Our last phase. That one that causes me literally so many problems. But it's important we talk about it. Because this phase, I think, gives women really bad reps. This phase is where the stigmas come from. Your luteal phase. Okay. So, your lining's thick, it's ready for a baby, your egg is released. That's what just happened in ovulation. Your body's, it's still getting thicker in your luteal phase, mind you, because it's anticipating you to be pregnant. It's anticipating that the egg and the sperm will come together and you're ready to have a baby. However, once your body gets the signal, about like 5-ish, 6-ish days after your ovulation, you are not pregnant. Your hormones do that and this and that and this and that, and it's slowly getting a menstruation because your body is like, well, no baby, try again next month. So the hormones are up and down, the feelings are up and down, energy's up and down. It's typically about 10 to 14 days. I have a full 2 weeks of this. I have long luteal phase. If you have a short one, I love that for you. I love that for you. It's rough. It's like half my month. This is a time to work, to finish projects, to focus on tasks, to pretty much wrap up everything you did in the beginning of the month. You're like, okay, we'll finish this, we'll do that. Like paying bills, ending this is a project I started. This is pretty much your time for that. It's a time of completion. Also, your metabolism is at its highest. Your body anticipates a baby. Your metabolism is at its highest. And with that, increases appetite and you get hungry. Your metabolism is at its highest. You are burning about 100 to 200 extra calories, so you will want to eat more. But it's more important that you eat slower burning carbs so that your body doesn't feel starving all the time. And specifically something that's rich in B vitamins. Your body is depleting the B vitamins, the magnesium, the calcium, the fiber. Everything's working really hard to get you pregnant. But that's not in the cards for you right now. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna go up and down and up and down and up and down. Sorry. And then depending on where like your actual levels are at, like if you are estrogen dominant or not, a lot of other things are gonna affect that as well. This is the phase you're gonna feel the most anxiety, depression, mood swings, bloating, constipation, the fun stuff, right? So we want to be eating food that flushes out the excess estrogen. Typically, that's what we have. Some people have more testosterone at this time. Some people have more estrogen. I have more estrogen. You want to be flushing out the excess estrogen, but if you are more testosterone based, then what you want to be doing is helping your progesterone. We'll talk about that in a different video as well. But we want to be eating stuff like brown rice, sweet potatoes, collards, mustard greens, chickpeas, pears. One second. Okay. Apples, walnuts, millet, cauliflower, celery, cucumbers, garlic, ginger, dates, peaches, raisins, mango, sunflower seeds, beef, turkey, mint, peppermint, spirulina, to name a few. Now, the first 5 days of this phase, right, you're still kind of high from the ovulation. So you would still probably be training the exact same way that you train on ovulation. And then if you have kind of like a lower luteal phase, you might not even feel the biggest difference. I can feel a huge difference. This very much is not my fall phase. This is very much my winter season. Summer is typically your ovulation. Spring is typically your follicular. Mine's a little bit shifted back one. Depends on how you feel with your body. And this is, if this is your first of hearing like how the cycle phases work, I would super get into like tracking how you feel throughout the month and see how that differs. I would do it. Just be curious about your body. So pretty much like the first 5 days, you're still kind of getting off of that high from the ovulation, and then it's like down, it's going down. So on the first half, you're like strength training, and the second half, you could probably do more with flexibility, taking your training down a little bit more, relaxing. That's huge for me because of my inflammation. Um, but you're doing like HIIT, Pilates, weights, bar, yoga. But you're taking it down a couple degrees, like walking down the closer you get to menstrual. And because your brain is so task oriented, kind of like nesting, this is a really good time to organize things, to go through things, be like, yeah, I don't want that, I do want that. Kind of like menstrual, right? Like you're kind of like task oriented, but your hormones are up and down. So you might make rash decisions. Maybe not. You might be very indecisive. This is the time for it. This is a time to devote a lot of work to things that you want to do, to get better at. Just managing your time well with the ups and downs that you have. With your spouse, this is a good time to end projects, to do projects with them. Investing in intimacy, especially for relaxing purposes. Um, just like holding their hand or cuddling them, with like prioritizing those things, because the hormonal ups and downs are kind of a lot. Um, and maybe communication isn't the best. This is just a time for maybe physical intimacy with somebody. in ways that make you feel good. You know, if holding hands is your cup of tea, then maybe holding hands more. If it's just like physical touch is your love language, like maybe it's just like holding, snuggling, any of that jazz. Um, I know from personal experience, this phase is super rough if you are estrogen dominant. If you are estrogen dominant, so sorry, and I love you, because you are a trooper. It's so hard. That's so hard to work through. I'll tell you what. I feel PMS symptoms in this phase. I do not feel them on my period. Nope, I feel them during my luteal phase. It's hard, especially because throughout the month you're so different. So maybe you get caught up in the beginning half of your month, like not really caring what you eat, and then you regret it by the end of the month. The way we take care of ourselves really matter. Overthinking and, like I said, anxiety and depression, they're so high in your luteal phase because of the ups and downs of your hormones. So just giving yourself that grace and understanding that it's a physical thing your body's going through, right? But and it's not a reflection of you. Obviously, the way that the choices that you make from the way you feel or what you think, those matter. But thinking them and feeling them, like that is a very human thing. And it is absolutely okay. They don't reflect who you are. And that's the biggest thing I've learned. Even writing them out, like journaling them out, calling a friend, and even just like venting it all out can be really helpful. Sometimes there's a lot of weight during our phases, and we live in a society that's very much on a male's clock, on a male's schedule. And sometimes we forget and we like hold ourselves to that standard. That's not supposed to be our standard. We're women. We just need to find what works in our body. We need to find how our body actually works and figure it out, right? And learn what works best. What eating during these phases works best for you. What socializing, what supplements, what activities. That's on us to figure out what works best for us. But ignoring it and just putting ourselves on a schedule that does not work for us, for men who have the same 24-hour biological clock, it wasn't in the cards for us. And I don't want that for us. Not that you have to be talking about your cycle all the time, but there are ways where you can be taking care of yourself better that is in line with your 28 to 35-day cycle, whatever cycle length you have. And I wish that for us. I would love if we would be in a place where we're intuitive and flowing with our bodies and our cycles, and we feel optimal in every single cycle, and we feel optimal all month long, regardless of the physical or like the up and down of hormones, right? Where we can feel good through all of it. That's the goal. That's the goal. And then if motherhood's an option, that's a whole other hormonal journey that you'll go on. So I hope that this was very educational for you. If this is something you needed to hear, I hope this was something you needed to hear. I might get into other studies and symptoms, and honestly, there's more. I sprinkled it through this video, but there is more I could talk about with hormones, and I've given it a lot of research, and things are still shifting, but it is really interesting to know and interesting to try. Everything is such a trial and error, so if you hear something, you're like, I should try that. You should. You have no idea whether it's going to work for you or not, and I hope it does. I hope you figure it out and you're like, this was a game changer. Because sometimes it is. You tweak one or two things and you're like, oh, I feel completely different. You just don't know. And I want you to know. I want you to figure it out. I want us to grow together. So I'll make another video about that, I think. And then hopefully it just finds the right person at the right time. But yeah, this was my wellness video today on just the phases of the cycle. And I hope you enjoyed it.